If you're very conversant with trends on the internet space, you realize that the narrative right now is Web3. Web3 is what is trending. Almost everybody is talking about Web3. But what exactly is this Web3? In fact, why Web3? Why does Web3 has to come? And at the end of the day, how can this Web3 even become beneficial to you or become beneficial to us in general? If these are some of the questions that you've been looking for answers to, then you are in the right place, because at the end of this video, we are going to explain step by step what Web3 is all about, why Web3 came in the first place, and how Web3 can be beneficial to you. In fact, currently, Web3 is the most profitable way of making money on the internet space, and it is also the easiest way. If you're somebody that is just coming up, maybe you come from a background where you are poor or you don't have money or nothing big is really going on, going into the Web3 space will be highly profitable and easy for you, but only if you've acquired the right knowledge. And that is what I'm going to do to you on my page today. So pay attention. Before we dive into what Web3 is all about, we first of all have to understand what is Web1 and what is Web2. Because for there to be a Web3, there also has to be Web1, there has to be Web2. What exactly did Web1 and Web2 do wrong that warrants the creation of Web3? Or what problem exactly is Web3 trying to solve? And that will bring us to an explanation of what Web1 is all about. Now, when we talk about Web1, Web1 is the first generation or the first stage of the internet. Before the internet came, the normal way people do communicate with each other is this old traditional method. For instance, newspaper. If the government wants to distribute news to the state or to the people, they have to print newspaper. And you all know they have to print a large amount of newspaper and distribute to people. So they have to print newspaper in high quantity, and people have to go and buy those newspapers for them to get information. So that is exactly what Web1 solved. This time around, you don't need to go and purchase the newspaper before you get the information. You could sit at the comfort of your home, then you pick up your phone and you check these informations. Pretty easy and straightforward. So the main essence or the main goal of Web1 was to solve the issue of distributing informations to people. But as we all know it, with every creation of a new technology, there also is a creation of a new problem that requires to be solved. And that is why Web2 came. Now, what is the problem that Web1 has? The problem Web1 has is a problem similar to what newspaper have. Now, in the traditional way, if you purchase a newspaper and you read the information, all you could basically do is to read the information that is there. When you finish reading it, you can either throw the newspaper away, you give it to your children to use it to wrap their exercise book for schools, or you can give it to that woman at your street that sells akara or sell puff-puff to use it to sell. There is nothing else you can do with that newspaper. You cannot edit a news on it. Let's say, for instance, there is an incident that happened at the back of your house, and then you were there live and direct, you witnessed the incidents, but there are also some reporters there that do write the newspaper and they witness it also. Then they go to their office and change the narrative or put something false. When you read this information, there is nothing you can do about it because it is written, it is written. You can't pick your pen, correct the information. Even if you correct it, you are the only one that will be aware that this information is wrong. So that was the problem Web1 has. Governments could share information to citizens. Bloggers could pass information to citizens, but people could not interact. People could not add their own news or add their own experience. And as such, even if an information is false, there is nothing you can do about it. You just have to take it like that. There is no interactivity. It is just a static website. And that is what Web2 came to solve. So with the creation of Web2, we see the introduction of platforms like Facebook. We see the introduction of platforms like WhatsApp. We see the introduction of platforms like Instagram. So this time around, if an information is posted online, you can interact. In fact, you can even post your information. I can decide today now that I want to be monitoring things that happen in my area. And then anything that happens, I put the news online. Nobody is going to stop me. And if, for instance, someone saw a news at the back of my house and put the information online, but the information is false, I can directly go there and say, no, this your information is false, this, that. So Web2 gave us the power to be able to interact with informations on the internet space, and also gave us the power to be able to post our own informations. That is why you can like my post, you can share my post, you can comment on my post, and you can do basically a lot with my post. But then, like I've said, with every developmental stage of the internet, they always develop an issue. and with every issue that is developed requires a solution. So what is that thing that Web 2 lagged behind, or what is that issue that Web 2 has that now warrants the creation of Web 3? And this is the major problem: centralization. Web 2 platforms are centralized in the sense that everything you post online is censored. As you are like this, there are some things you cannot post. Even as you're watching this YouTube right now, there are some things I cannot post on my YouTube channel. Once I post it, it's either YouTube take down my account, block my video, or send me a warning. So they are basically in control. And at the end of the day, government are still the one in control. So informations are censored. In fact, there was a time on the internet space where you could not talk about Donald Trump in any of your video, be it TikTok, be it YouTube, be it Facebook. Once you're talking anything and you mention Donald Trump, that video is most likely to get taken down. It is as bad as that. So these people, this centralized authority, they control what goes in and what goes out. So that simply means that all of the informations you're seeing today are the information that they permitted. If they do not permit it, you can't see those information. Another problem that Web 2 platforms have again is your information. You don't have privacy to your data. For instance, if you want to register on platforms like Facebook, you have to provide them a name, you have to provide them your email address, your phone number. Sometimes they even request for your house address and a whole lot other details. That is why if you go on Facebook today, if you're someone that interacts on social media a lot, Facebook will tell you where you have been to or what you have been doing in the past 10 years of your life. That is how it is. The funny thing is that this your data, they have the power to sell it. These companies interact with themselves. Facebook could interact with TikTok. They could sell data to TikTok for business and make money from it. What are they giving you in turn? Nothing. The only people that make money from these platforms are content creators. Somebody like myself. Those are the people that make money. You as an end consumer that just react, comment, or engage in people's posts, you make nothing from it, despite the fact that they are selling out your data. These are some of the major problems that Web 2 platform has, and that is what Web 3 came to solve. So with the creation of Web 3, we now saw a new internet space called decentralized internet space. So Web 3 is all about decentralization, and it's all about giving back power to the community, taking power from these centralized authorities like the government or the owners of these platforms and giving it back to the users. So let me give you an example. For instance, if a platform like Facebook was to exist on the Web3 space, which there are already some on the way, there are some that came and failed, and there are some that are still currently being in development. For instance, Online Plus is still a project that is still being developed by ICE Network team. And last time I checked, they were almost done with the development and it will soon be going live. Now, those type of platforms now, instead of the platform owners deciding what goes in and what goes out of the space, it is we the users, we the community, that gets to decide through a process called consensus mechanism. So all of us have to vote. We have to decide what comes on the platform or what does not come on the platform. And in this space, all of us have the ability to make income. You don't have to meet a certain criteria. For instance, on YouTube, if you don't have up to 1K subscribers, 4,000 watch hours, and some other criteria like that, you can't make money from YouTube. But in the space of decentralization, you can make money from the things you do. In fact, gaming, Web3 took it personal up to the extent that they monetized gaming. For those of you that play games like Call of Duty, you buy skins in those games, you buy guns. Those guns, once you buy it, those platforms are in control of it. You can't convert those things back to money. But when such games exist on the Web3 space, whenever you are buying skins, those skins are in form of NFTs that you can even trade it back for money. So it basically gives you access, or it gives you power to own everything that you are doing on the space. It gives you the power to own and control your own data. Now, with the introduction of Web3, it also created a new banking system or a new money system known as DeFi. For instance, if government needs money today, the most basic thing they can do is to print more money. And as we know it, the more they print more money, the more the rich gets richer and the more the poor gets poorer. So they could print any amount of money they want. But with the introduction of Web3 and currencies like cryptocurrencies on the Web3 space, you cannot do that. For instance, Bitcoin has a maximum supply of 21 million. Only 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist. No government body can come and print extra Bitcoin if they want money. And that is why the price of Bitcoin keeps going on today. Network, for instance, has a maximum supply of 100 billion No other Pi coin can be added to this maximum supply. So they have a fixed rate. So Web3 came to solve a whole lot of problems that Web2 platforms have. And as at now, as at this time that I'm making this video, Web3 is still under development. We are still in its early stage. This is the time for you to hop on it and scale. This is the time for you to acquire the right knowledge and make money. For instance, just as we have jobs in Web2, we also have jobs on Web3. In fact, most of the things that you do on Web2 platforms, you do the same thing on Web3. Content creations, for instance, like what I do, you can also go into a lot of niche like programming, building website that you build on Web2 platforms. You can also do the same thing on Web3, but this time around, you are building on blockchain. There are smart contract developers, there are project or community managers. In fact, there are a whole lot of things you could do on the Web3 space that is going to make you money. One important thing that we must always talk about when we are discussing Web3 is blockchain technology, because blockchain is the core on which Web3 is built. Without blockchain technology, Web3 will not even exist in the first place. Everything about Web3 has to do with blockchain technology. And that is why in my next video, I am going to be breaking down the concept of this blockchain so that you'll understand it. It is not that complicated. It is because you've not gotten somebody to explain it or break it down to you clearly. That is why you've not gotten it. So in my next video, I'm going to be breaking out the whole concept of what blockchain is all about. And if you watch that video, you are definitely going to understand. And that is basically it. So if you have watched this video to the end, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Turn on the bell icon so you get notifications whenever I upload a new video just like this one. And if you want to stay in touch personally to get updates from me, you can use the link in the description box for this video to either join my Telegram channel or my WhatsApp channel, anyone that you want to join to keep getting updates.